Hi, I'm Ryan Aber from the Oklahoman here for a special EdlamFootball.com edition of the High School Huddle, joined today by Edmond North coach Jeremy Donbeck, Edmond Memorial coach Mark Walker, and Edmond Santa Fe coach Dan Kokenauer. Guys, practice getting underway this week, a little bit cooler than maybe it would have been a couple of weeks ago. How's it been so far at Edmond North?
Well, it's been real nice because we have to go in the evening based on our teachers' meeting schedules, and we start right supposedly the heat of the day at 4 o'clock, and like Coach Kokenauer said on the way up here, our kids must have prayed to the football gods, and we got a little break in the weather, so it's been pretty nice. And
Coach Walker, I know y'all have gone 2 a days, 6:30 to 8:30, both in the AM and PM. How's that been so far?
It's been well. I mean, the first day it was rainy. I mean, it was just perfect weather. So, like I said, these kids have had, and coaches. I'm kind of glad myself. So, but it's been good. It's been good weather and enjoyable.
Of course, you're not going to tell your players you're happy about the cooler weather.
No, not at all.
And Coach Kokenauer?
Oh, it's been great. I mean, when you look at I feel like the kids show a little bit more excitement and enthusiasm out there because they know what it's like to be out there when it's 100 degrees. So I really feel like we're getting probably more out of this than we would if it would have been 100 degrees out there. So it's going good for us.
And your schedule is a little bit different from a lot of school districts around the state. A lot of them are starting this week. Y'all get a little bit of extra time. Are you happy about that and getting to have a little bit more flexibility with your practice times?
Yeah. You say a little more time. I mean, we got today or yesterday and today. Now tomorrow we start teachers meetings. So I guess, when you compare, some people started school on Monday. So we've had to adjust to that. But, I mean, I've got a great group of guys that coach for me that, doesn't matter. You just tell them, guys, here's when we're practicing. They're there and they're ready to get after them. So we're pretty fortunate on that.
Are you pretty happy with the way the schedule is falling?
It's a little bit of advantage, I think, but that's why we're doing the 2 a day, because we're splitting it up. Because again, I'm fortunate I don't have any new coaches on our staff this year, to where they're all like Coach Donbeck's staff. They're having to do the same thing with new staff. So the biggest thing is that I kind of wish it started maybe a little earlier, just so we have the schedule it's taken care of, because I still dread that first day of school practice, because it's usually not always the best practice in the world. So, but that's part of what has to happen.
And Coach Donbeck, like you mentioned, have a couple new coaches. Has it been difficult at all this year, juggling that around?
Well, they're new to our school system. They're not new to our program. They're guys that I'm familiar with and have coached with me in the past. So from that aspect, it's been fairly easy transition. But you just got to play the cards that you're dealt, and it just so happens that those guys have to go to meetings starting basically early this week, and we just have to adjust and go with it.
A lot of excitement around Edmond football this year at all 3 schools. Edmond Memorial and Edmond North made the playoffs last year. For the first time in a long time, Coach Kokenauer, you were at home. Starting off with you, what is it going to take for y'all to be successful this year?
Well, first of all, thanks for bringing that up. I tell you, our kids are motivated by it. I mean, that's what's been great about this group of kids. I mean, I told them when it happened how embarrassing it was. And this is in Santa Fe. And when we came back from Christmas, those kids accepted that, and they agreed with it. And, I mean, the way they've worked as far as in the wintertime, spring ball, team camp, 7-on-7 this summer, clear up to this point right in here, they're ready to get back. They're ready to get back there, and, I'm glad it bothered them. I mean, as a coach, you want it to bother the kids because you're never going to work a little harder, and that's what we've seen right there. So, I felt bad in one aspect is that last year, if we'd have done our part, it'd have been the first time ever that all 3 schools made the playoffs, and how awesome would that have been? So I'm doing my part this year, guys, by the way, so we're ready to go.
And y'all had some injuries last year, most notably to Randy Ponder early in the season. How does he look? Is he back at 100%?
Yeah, I believe he's 100%. He's worked extra hard. He's been doing a lot of stuff in the springtime, and you can tell that as far as in the weight room and the running and everything, he's really kind of along there. So, let's think about it. A lot of those injuries we had last year were those injuries that lasted 2 or 3 weeks, not 1 day, and that's what hurt us last year. But that just happens sometimes in this game of football. Now we're hoping that we can just kind of get that behind us and go on.
And Coach Walker, you made a playoff run last year. What's it going to take for y'all to get back in the playoffs and maybe even win some games in the playoffs?
Biggest thing is getting in the playoffs like we did last year. Get that, say that monkey off our back. The whole attitude of it's been such a long time. Some people say it's 10, 8. I don't know. It's been a while since they've been there, and so some of these young men do not know. And I think getting that out of the way, they're again playing the competition we have against our schools. The rivalry that's there it keeps that level up there. And then the district that we were in. I think we were a pretty tough district, Midwest City, PCO, and and Westmore. You know, 2 of those go to semifinals. I mean, you know, so the thing is, our kids at least have answered that question. They've been there. They know that they can make the playoffs. Now it's just like Coach Kokenauer said, it's that attitude of how they showed up, and our kids have really been getting after it. They're hungry as well.
And Coach Dombeck, y'all were probably the surprise last year. I think a lot of people expected Edmond Memorial, maybe this was a year that they broke through, but I think a lot of people were surprised that y'all were able to make the playoffs. What's it going to take for y'all to get back there?
Oh no, you have any suggestions? No, we, you know, like Coach Walker touched on, it's a different experience when you finally get to the playoffs, and I've experienced that at other schools where teams have been down and haven't been there in a while, and once you get there, it just seems easier to get there year in and year out, and that's something that we're not talking about this year as far as making the playoffs. We are hoping that we get to a point in our program where we're expected to do that every year, and see what kind of noise we can make when we get there. But again, you know, we have to have a little bit of luck. You know, stay away from the injury bug, just like what happened to Santa Fe last year, and so you just play them, old coaching cliche, one at a time and see what happens.
And all 3 of y'all have explosive players. You have one whose name is very familiar to people who are familiar with Edmond area football, Joe Aska.
You know, it just, people, you know, they know his name, but I don't think they know a whole lot about him because he played a very limited role for us last year, and he's not the same type of player. He only weighed about 170 pounds last year, and I think I was faster than he was. But he just his body's changed this, you know, over the summer and winter conditioning drills, and he knows he has a responsibility now with our leading rusher now moved on to Florida, and he's accepted the responsibility, and he's just one of the hardest working kids I've ever had. So we expect big things out of him. And
I hear you're also pretty excited about your quarterback, Cody Crebbil.
Yes, Cody has ability. You know, he's unproven obviously because he's, I think, only taken 4 snaps in a varsity game, and but he's got all the tools. He's very tall and can make every throw. It's just a matter of how he leads us and you know, getting his feet wet and you know, that comes with experience, and he's going to get better every game and every time he gets in a live situation. So we'll see, but we do expect good things out of him.
And Coach Walker, you've also got a pretty special talent in Anthony Morehouse.
Anthony Morehouse is a great kid. He's you know, he's a worker. He's a leader. More than anything, you know, it's contagious. You know, I steal cliche from Coach Kokenauer, you know, the Reggie factor. I mean, Reggie Smith was one of the main reasons, I think, for a long time that, you know, Santa Fe he wasn't the only thing, but because of his work ethic, that's what made them successful, because it made other players pull up to that. And I think just not just him, but other players we have are accepting that role and getting after it as a group of seniors this year. And our senior class isn't very big, but they've accepted that and are stepping up and getting after it.
And Coach Kokenauer, we talked about Randy Ponder a little bit, but you've got a couple other pretty good players in Sumter and Willie O. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name.
Yeah, and that's one thing. These guys have been working together and playing together for several years now. I mean, when they were freshmen, they went undefeated, and it's kind of carried over as far as their attitude. But I think the biggest thing is like what you said, just like what Coach Walker says, you know, when one of them does something in there in the weight room or out there on the football field as far as conditioning or thing and goes extra hard, it makes the rest of them do it. And, you know, and that's a sure sign as far as leadership, I feel like, and that's what we're looking for. And, you know, we've got some other kids out there doing the same thing, but I think that's a big thing when you look at those type of kids is that there's competition between them, but they realize, too, you know, to win this, we're going to do it as a team. And the ones that aren't going to be, you know, selfish about, well, I'm not touching the ball, and we work on that, talk about this all the time. You know, if can't care who scores, can't care who makes the tackles, and I think these kids understand that, and that's what's great about it. They're that hungry that shouldn't even be a factor for them, and that's what's great for us because we got some good kids over there that work hard.
And last question for each of you, I guess. First of all, Coach Kokenauer, what's the toughest thing about facing a Jeremy Dombeck coached Edmond North team?
Well, I mean, one thing about it that he's done is that he's come in there and he's given them a little bit more different attitude, not more of an attitude, but they got a different attitude about as far as the way they do things. I mean, you can tell that the kids, I've known those coaches over there, but you can just tell that the way they ran their offense, the way they came off the ball, the way they huddled up and everything, I mean, there's a little bit different attitude over there than it was in the last couple of years. So that's been the biggest thing I've seen as far as what Jeremy has done over there. I like what they do on the offensive side. They get after it, and that's going to make a challenge on it. And then, as a guy that's from the hometown, as far as across town area there, when you look at that, you realize, hey, he's going to have it here in a few years that there can be a team to beat. And I think this year they're going to kind of step it up even more.
And Coach Walker, what's the toughest thing about coaching against a Dan Kopenauer coached Edmond Santa Fe team?
Just the whole attitude. I think the same things like he's saying is that they're going to be competitive. I don't care, year in, year out. I think coaches always try to, I don't know if we have talent, kind of attitude. But one thing, he's got a great staff. He has staff that's been with him for a long time. That's one of the other things about establishing himself when he's here is he's got, defense coordinator's been with him a long time and other gentlemen that's there. And that's a big deal. I mean, because they know each other. They know what they're thinking. And there's a lot of little things that you don't have to think about. And so, one thing, they're going to come hit you in the mouth. They're going to play 4 quarters. And so, there's not going to be something, and adversity happens, they're going to find a way. I don't know, they call it their dog, I don't know, wolf magic or whatever they call it, but something's going to try to go their way, and you just got to finish till that last second when that clock's done.
And Coach Dombeck, same question to you about Edmond Memorial and Coach Walker.
Well, for one thing, for me personally last year, I think I had to get over, an awe factor. I mean, these guys, I'm a fairly young coach, and when I'd go to clinic and see these guys walking around, I'm like, hey, man, Coach Kopenauer, Coach Walker. So there's just a tremendous amount of respect, and you can just tell by when you put in a game tape that they're doing things right. I mean, everybody's got their own philosophies and X's and O's, but really what I think makes a coach is how their kids are prepared and how hard they play. And these guys last year, golly, I mean, it was and I know it was game 1, but I don't think we played a more physical team all the way through the playoffs. I mean, it was just our kids were beat and drained, and same thing with Santa Fe. I mean, you know what you're going to get, you know what they do, and they're going to do it well. And it's just respect, like Coach Walker says all the time. Hope you go 9-1. And,
no kidding.
And we really do believe that. We've got a great relationship, and all of our kids know each other, and I'm just happy to be here.
Well, coaches, we appreciate you joining us. Good luck this season, and check us out all year on edlandfootball.com.